So now we've moved into another one of these C3I modules, this one from Marcus Claudius Marcellus. The more aggressive of the consuls during Fabian's reign. He was very violent at that point, but this is one of his other battles during the Celtic War, before the Second Punic War. It's the Battle of Clastidium. What's happened is there's a bunch of Celts under their king Britomartius, whom, like everyone here, I believe I've had to use the substitute counter for. Well, there's a couple of Roman counters that I haven't. The scenario, apparently this particular C3I came with the counters, but they actually show them in the scenario, so I'm able to play this one. I looked through my counters and I don't have the ones from this C3I. I don't have any of the articles, so I have some extra counters that led me to track down some articles. I know I have the counters for the Judean Revolt, which is really kind of exciting to me. All right, the Maccabee ones. So we have a force that's primarily... What happened was two consular armies go out to face the Celts, and Marcellus leads forward a flying column of cavalry and a couple units of picked velites, which are going to be elite quality because of that, to meet what's really a much larger Celtic force, which is made up almost entirely of infantry, but there's some lancers on the wings. The leadership values are correct for everyone except for Marcellus. They're close for him. 761 is right, but he should only have a 2 for charisma, and he should have a 4 for strategic. Now, what's interesting about this battle in particular is that Marcellus challenged Britomartius to single combat, something that the Romans didn't tend to do very often. And then he slew him. In order to handle this, they've got a duel of commanders and a section of rules from Great Battles of Alexander, but it talks about a personal combat rating. There's no personal combat rating in this. However, there is, and I may have ignored this number entirely, the loss number, which I'm going to use as the personal combat rating. And that gives Marcellus a huge advantage. I'm going to fight the duel out, actually, and I may do that all on vid just because it's kind of different from what we normally see, and therefore I'll set that up on tripod for you. Okay, so here we are set up for that hand-to-hand combat between the two leaders. Now, the way this works is, first, I'm doing this for the first time, the leader with a higher personal combat rating. And let me remember what these numbers are. For Marcellus, it's a 7. For Britomartius, it's a 4. Rolls. And if he gets the same or less than his PC, something happens. You rolled an 8. That's higher. That means the opposing leader doesn't roll his same die. I don't know what that means. If the first die roll of he who strikes higher is higher, then the opposing player becomes he who strikes. Okay? So now we go to our Britomartius, who rolls lower. This means that essentially Marcellus has to roll a saving throw, as it were, which he succeeds in. But Britamartius remains he who strikes, so he gets another roll. This time he failed, so we go back to Marcellus rolling. And Marcellus hits. And he succeeds in hitting Britamartius. So now Britamartius makes another roll. And yeah, this is all pretty. And it is again higher, so he is killed. And Britamartius is not going to be in the action for this battle at all. Does he count points as being dead? Yes, there is still the victory point penalty for being killed. And now we begin the battle. Marcellus back down there on his force, and the Celts at an extreme disadvantage. Now there's an option on this for the Celts to refuse the single combat, in which case they lose 25% of their rout ratio drops down to 25%, which works out to be, right now they have a rout ratio of 40. It would be 29 without him, and the Romans have a 30. We'll see how it works with the Celts having no leadership now. So that was a little bit of fun that you probably wouldn't be able to do with the deluxe edition. I think that number's been removed from it. Of course, the scenario has the numbers for the relevant leaders, so you actually would. It's not like I had the right characters there. I'm making a command decision here as to the rules, which is, without an overall commander, the Celts will not be able to make line commands. Normally, they'd be able to make one each in the first order of the scenario. However, I would suspect with the disruption, etc., involved in losing their leader, they're not going to have that option, and they're going to have to do their commands the traditional way. The Romans have all moved forward. I actually shouldn't have moved the leader forward yet. I haven't flipped any counters because it's the first turn and I don't like doing that extra work for nothing. I'm going to see what I can do with the Celts. My hope is to try to build some sort of square or shilotron or whatever to help protect me against what's really a tremendous cavalry advantage and nothing else that the Romans have. So after the first turn, we see the Celts moving forward so that they can kind of shift their flanks to the sides. There's not a lot I can do to make a circle on one move, so I'm going to face some problems. But I've got the Cav trailing here. These guys are still over on this flank. That might help buy me a little bit of time. Here's the big problem, though. That's the cost for losing the leader, 25. That's out of 40. Clearly, given the matchup, it would be far better to say, I don't want to do that personal combat. But think of what the advantage would be if they beat the Romans. Trying to get into formation is kind of tricky, mainly because facing changes are expensive. So now we've got some Celts facing the rear. That can't be too good, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and they're in striking distance, and that's not good at all. I'm not sure how well they're going to survive this. On the other hand, if they just stood there, they would have been it would have been possible for the Romans to just run around them. So the question here is, do the Romans want to try to take out these lancers on the flanks, or do they want to let them run around loose? With them loose, they could take out a couple of Roman cav and do some serious damage in that way. So it may be better to take them out. We'll see. So the Roman right flank cav charged into those lancers, getting flank attacks on them. Did it one at a time. The commander miraculously got his full 2 momentum, so 3 activations. And his first one was just really moving 2 units up and 1 to attack, and then that unit broke. He had to rally that and send another one into the flank, breaking and pursuing the Lancer. And then finally the last one broke the Lancer on the first strike. That last one, there was an attempt to trump his activity, which failed, which means this whole Celtic line is still facing the wrong way. That was a risk that probably shouldn't have been taken, but it's not a lot of points to break the Roman army right now. They're at 32. They lose a couple more units. They're broken. So because of the leader dying. So it seemed like they had to make some kind of attempt. Well, that attempt was bad. They're going to lose this unit as it routes off the map. This is going to be one heck of a quick scenario. Well, the Celts have managed to shore up their flank over here. They made a strike with the Lancers on the flank of the Cav. They didn't really do much there. This is sufficient to break them, though. And then if we look at the points, I got this pen. I don't like using it because it's blue. But we've got 14. That brings them to 39, which means one more Celt off the map and it's over. Which, you know, that's bound to happen. But might as well play out another turn, see what happens. And a Cav pursuit of some of this infantry finishes it off. Quick little fight. Might be some interest if you take the initial combat away completely. Yeah, a little ahistorical, but you know, kind of an interesting what if. It's tough though because the Romans have absolute Cav superiority on the field. Yes, there's a couple of Lancers on each flank, but it's just really tough for the infantry until it gets formed up. Now, maybe with the extra commander, maybe with a little bit more effort, getting that infantry into some sort of defensive position would be a serious issue. Because here's the thing: if you attack Roman Cav versus medium infantry, that's defender superior. The Cav ought to just leave. If a good defensive position gets formed, the Cav is just committing suicide by attacking it. So that's why I tried it, but it's hard to maneuver once you're in the position that I was in. Alright, up this one goes, and that's the end of it.